Hey, thanks for spending the I know that last hour, it's tough, right? It's probably crappy weather out there's traffic, but guess what? We're still here, right? So we want to have some value. So some of you were asking me questions that tied into this presentation, so I didn't want to give it away too much, but you know what I want to tie in is the challenge we face in the real estate industry with cash flow. You know, I made a lot of money in real estate. I lost a lot of money in real estate. I've been through a lot of markets. I burnt out twice in the industry, career-wise. I'm open to admit to that. Full burnout, 80 hours. What's that? Full burnout is? Exhausted, bad health, went through divorce, cost me a family, and had to start over again. But I'm okay to tell you that. You know why? I learned. That's a burnout. That's a full burnout. Okay? So look, it happens. I hope it doesn't happen to anybody. But you know what? Real estate is a game we have to manage because it could really push us. And if you want to do production, and that's what was happening, I was doing a lot of production. You can't have both. I was trying to burn 80 hours a week doing the production, build the team, do all this other stuff, and sometimes your family life and personal life goes down the tubes. So health happens, all this other stuff. So while I don't want that to happen to anybody, but as you can tell, I'm pretty transparent. It is like it is. I'll tell you my wins, my losses. 7 streams are simply built on how did I try and solve some of the problems, because when you have cash flow problems, it creates a lot of challenges. And I say cash flow by I got 1 or 2 closings, and then I got nothing, and then I got nothing, and then I got maybe a closing, but that fell apart. And you guys know what that means, right? It's part of our life. So that being said, I kind of tied this together because a lot of this concept comes from older concepts we're used to. You remember all of the wealth and all the wealthy people in the universe have talked about this for years, that if you want to build wealth, you have to do what? You have to have multiple streams of income. And those books have been around for a long time. Multiple streams of income for that reason. When one source of income's struggling, you've got another source. So people have been, whether you're an investor or something else, they always had multiple streams to cover when one's bombing, right? Same concept applies to us. Our business has never changed. I don't care about all this tech, social, everything. It's still people, right? It's still people. How we communicate with them, how we find them, how we talk to them, people. They still live in the homes. Hasn't changed that part. So to me, what we have to find is, to be successful, is we just got to have more streams of people. I'm going to identify what a stream is. And specifically, I had to find at least 7 streams to keep my business flourishing. And I'll define that. But 7 streams is what developed this mentality based off of multiple streams of income. All right, so here's the typical real estate agent's sales cycle, if you asked me, right? It's kind of like that. Yeah. Right? And it's ups, it's downs, it's, you're falling, you're not. But that's where, cash flow crisis happens. And then sometimes there's a mountain that falls off in here too, and you can't control a lot of it. Let's face it, some of it you can't control. Some of it you could have done a better job at it. Sometimes you needed more people, and you weren't prepared. That being said, most of us run our business like this, though. You are 1 step away, baby, from falling off that cliff. Some of you know that, and I've worked with a lot of people. If this deal doesn't close, I don't know if I'm going to pay my mortgage this month. If this deal doesn't close, I got to get this one to close, right? And then sometimes you can't control it. You know that feeling. So here's the way a transaction would go, or the situation with real estate agents. You put 3 or 4 or 5 transactions together. You finally get them going. You're getting into inspections. You're doing all this other stuff. And then you stand around and you pray that these things close. And you focus so much on these to close, what do you stop doing? Right. So we know it, and yet we continue to do it. That's the problem. The biggest thing you have here with 3 or 4 or any transactions, and you don't realize you have, is momentum. You have momentum to continue to market your homes that you've sold, to be able to market that you've got success in sales. Instead of focusing so much on getting them closed, you should be focusing on the momentum you have, because that gives you leverage. Having closed transactions gives you leverage to market more. And we sometimes don't do that. I'm going to show you a picture. First word that comes out of your mouth, first word you think about. Ready? I don't want to tell you what she just said. It was OS. That's you on the bike. Stress. Don't stop. Don't stop. Okay. You've got 3 or 4 transactions in your pipeline. Don't stop. And we do. We wait for things to close and happen. And then when they don't, we suffer, right? I just had a stream of my personal income yesterday fall apart at 5 o'clock last night, a big one. But you know what? You get up in the morning today, you're going to figure it out, and you're going to go, thank God I have a few other streams of income coming in, right? It's the same thing that applies. You can't have all your eggs in one basket. So that being said, let me identify what I call a stream so you can identify it with me. First of all, a stream is a group of people or a source of leads that continuously give you referral business or business on a monthly basis. So it's a group or a source that gives you consistently. That's the key word, consistently. That's what I'm identifying as a stream, because you're going to find that we're going to identify some streams right here in this room where you have a stream, but some of them are going to be stale. You think it's a stream, but they haven't given you anything in months or years. But I'm using nature here to share this because you know darn well when you get powerful water and powerful streams, powerful referral sources, top producers, that's what starts to happen. They don't have magic. They got powerful sources of people giving them the business and trusting them. Right? So that's what a good stream is. Ideally, we want multiples. We want these, right? Now, the goal of all of this is to hopefully go from where we just were with our little rock thing, is to build that bridge and get you more balanced. It's still not going to be perfect. But if you can get more cash flow in more consistently, that's going to hopefully help. Less stress. Right? Less stress, less running, and obviously more momentum, because guess what? When you do more transactions this year, if you keep momentum, you do more next year. There's a reason we have people that are doing 8 transactions going to 18 transactions that go to 35 transactions that go to 60 transactions is because they got momentum, right? It's not because they had anything more magical. So even, this was interesting, I went back and I even looked at our Mother Nature. Biggest lakes in our universe over here all follow the same stream mentality, which I didn't know this, I did some digging. Every one of these major lakes, 1, 2, and there's a few that weren't even the majors, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all lead to one major stream source. All of these lead to each other to one major stream source. That one. That's it, all of them. They all funnel to that. And I'll tell you right now, that is your top producer. That is your mega producer right there. Funnels and streams of resources, of leads and people to come to that. So it's interesting to see it from a nature standpoint. Let's break it down to business.
That's good, I like that.
Truth, this right there, that visual right there looks like a typical Google map. This picture, or something like this, is what got me excited about real estate. I would fly, I was young, believe it or not, before I started in real estate, you're gonna laugh, I was in college and I was working in the Caribbean islands. I would fly back and forth. I'd do my classes on Monday, Tuesday, fly down to St. Martin Tuesday night, be in sales, knocking on doors in the heat down there, selling advertising, and come back. But when I'd fly, I'd look over and I'd be like, man, look at all those homes I could sell. Like, it was just like, look at all the inventory. Like, holy crap, I could sell all of them. That's what got me excited about real estate, was flying over places like that. To me, that's just a big farm area, right? Nothing more, nothing different. The question is how do you get a hold of those people? How do you get them all? How do you find them all? Because they're all going to buy and sell, all buy and sell, all buy and sell. I just want them all. Good duck. So that was really what we're challenged with. And some of us are sporadic. We work a street or two. We send postcards here, there. Like there's no rhyme or reason. Or some of us don't do any of it. And we just hope and pray that people will call us, which that doesn't work, by the way. So I want to give you 7 streams of people and sources that helped me. But I want you to think about how they've created. I'm going to give you my scenarios. But I want you to think of yours. Meaning, if you're not doing enough, what source is it? My very first stream I thought was my sphere. But I was wrong. My sphere, I'm like, oh, my sphere, that's a good one. No. They weren't giving me lead. Like my brother bought a house from somebody else, right? Didn't use me. Right? Because that happens. Family situations, in-laws didn't like, whatever it was. So was I getting consistent business from my core sphere at first? No. So I'm like, well, that's not a stream. So I thought it was one. I had to work at it to finally get it, and that work took phone calls, marketing, letting them know what I do, how I can help them, that kind of stuff. But it wasn't at first. So as you're thinking, I want you to be thinking about what streams you have, which ones aren't, and then when we're done, we'll calculate about how many you have. The average is probably going to be 3 or 4. Depends on your production. 2, at the time, was a B&I group for me. Now, B&I was a different group of people that was different than my sphere, that I could meet on a different level basis, right? 30, 40 business owners that we met every week on 7 o'clock in the morning, and we shared referral business. So if I could get referral business from them that's different than my sphere, that's another good stream that was productive, right? And that was work. I get up at 6 in the morning, you got to show up, you got to do your thing, and then you go to your office, right? But I don't care. It doesn't have to be this for you, but I'm trying to identify the differences, right? 3 for me, this was a good one. It was called HTEF, Hampton Township Education Foundation. You're like, what the heck, right? It was for the school, a different group of people that I would normally not be in front of that live in the town and community I sell homes in. It was an education foundation where we raised money for the school for things they could not afford in their budgets. And basically, if a teacher wanted to do a science project or something and the school couldn't do it, they'd come to us, put in an application, go, hey, we need $1,000 for a cool science project. We'd vote, here's your check, right? But while it was a good thing to do, is that a good stream of network of people?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, right? We were doing a good thing with a good group of people. They weren't in my B&I group. They weren't in my sphere. Another group, productively trusting me. 4th was a hobby. I shoot archery. Did a lot more back when I was younger. But I didn't know this. I live in Sussex County, New Jersey, so it's really rural farmland, all that good stuff. That being said, I joined this group not necessarily for leads. By the way, I didn't join it for leads. I joined it because I had an interest in doing it with my kids and everything else. 50 to 60 members that meet at a barn in the back of the woods, jeans and sneaker kind of people, right? Shooting archery. For the first 3 months, they didn't even know I was in real estate. I was kind of undercover. Just show up in my jeans and my truck and shoot and kids and set up stuff. But I'll tell you what, the one day I showed up with a branded shirt on because I was running late, guess what? I could not stop the conversations. Like, oh, you're in real estate? Holy cow, I didn't know you were in real estate. So guess what? Yeah, how's the market? Every Tuesday, without fail, we get done shooting. I don't want to talk business because that's the best part. Don't talk about it, right? But I left and it was, well, hey man, can I talk to you? We'll go get a cup of coffee at my mom's house. I got to sell it. I got some questions for you. They already liked and trusted me, and there was a group of 50 to 60 of them that knew another 50 to 60 around them. That was a good stream. I couldn't get away from that stream. They'd still call me, even after I stopped selling real estate. I had a guy when I was transitioning to start doing what I'm doing, which is traveling and speaking, years ago. He even said to me, because Jeff, listen, I know what you do for a living. I'll wait for you to come home on Saturdays. And while that's respectful, I'm like, I just want one day with my family, man. I don't want to come home and show you 20 houses. Like, I love it. Wouldn't even take a referral. That's how powerful it was because they trusted me. He was my archery guy. I'll wait for you. I'll just be available on Sunday. And at the time, I'm like, listen, I love you, but I got to have you go out with one of my, I want one day to myself, right? So that was a stream that produced consistent revenue, different than all the others. You following the differences, right? 5, I coached kids' sports. Now you might say, I don't have kids, no, whatever. I don't care. Be the volunteer somewhere. Now, to me, it doesn't matter. I didn't coach for leads, but the sporting group of parents are more aggressive than anybody. They like to win. They play to win. However, I did a great job coaching because it just seems to be my thing. I love coaching agents. I coach football teams. Today I'm coaching lacrosse, by the way. My football players are up and out. I'm coaching 3rd and 4th grade lacrosse nowadays. And I'm loving it because I enjoy doing it. But you know what? When people know you're in the business, or you show up with a branded shirt or some other stuff, that stream was very productive for me. 6, this was something I didn't have. So this became part of my business plan. I said, where's a group of people? Because I knew I needed more groups of people. So I said, where's a group of people I don't have? And I'm not a big fan of being political or anywhere downtown. So my local town, other than knowing my fire inspector and my local stuff for real estate, I went down there, and at the time I think I owned a brokerage or two, and I went down there and I said to him, listen, hey, my name's Jeff. I think it was either Remax or Exit at the time. And I said, hey, I own a brokerage or two, but I'm looking to see how I can get involved in some of the things you're doing in town. Anything project-wise you guys are doing? It was like a loaded question. He looked at me like I had 6 heads. Like, you want to volunteer work? So I said, well, what do you guys do? And they're like, well, you could do our food drive thing. Like, what's that? I didn't know we had a whole food drive. Like, it looked like a shopping store, which I didn't know we had. So I said, well, what's involved? And it could have been more magical. Because, well, we need someone to have like a place and a destination for the customers to drop off food. You need a place and a location for people to come to drop off food. Like my office, that people don't come to anymore now anyway. Cha-ching, yes, my office is the destination. That's real good. Because how many people are showing up at your office today? Oh, I didn't know this place was here. Jesus, well, how long have you been here? 10 years. So I'm like, I'm in. What do I got to do? Just whatever he told me the instructions. People showing up on Saturday mornings, jeans and sneakers. Come on in. I got coffee in the office. Come on in. I put on coffee. I had people all day long coming, getting to know the office, getting to know me, shaking. Then we went down together and we loaded food for the needy, which is a good thing to do. But I got to meet all the people in the town, the town organization, which I didn't know. And I got a whole bunch of customers show up at my door on Saturdays. So to me, it was a really cool source. I never had access to that. I had to go find it. And then last, for me, turned into this, with social media. That became another stream for me. And that stream you have to work. Just because you're on it doesn't mean it's a stream. I had other streams that weren't quite acceptable ones. You know, I had other groups I belonged to. I think I was doing a Chamber of Commerce thing, and I was doing something else. But I wasn't quite getting the return or resources out of it. So I didn't count them. When I had 7 full streams of people, I needed people. I had a problem. There was a little bit too much business coming in. There was too many listings. At one point in my career in those days, I had 40, 50 listings in my own inventory. 40, I couldn't even take the sign calls on a weekend. So hence, buyer's agents, a team, 2 assistants, and people, staff. It had to blow up based on the market I was in. But that's what happened when I got more streams. I had other problems. The good problem was it definitely solved some cash flow problems because we had plenty of closings and things happening. And I had to learn one thing. This was hard for me to do, especially before teams were really teams back then. There weren't really formalities. I had to give up control.
Yeah, it's tough.
I had to give up control. So many people I talk to like, well, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent 25% of my money. But it's not your money if you can't take them out. Like, can you take out 10 people in the same weekend or same day or same, like, no. So they're going to go somewhere else anyway. Stop it. Right? So I had to give up control. I also had to give up control of what I wasn't good at. What I was really good at, and again, if I fought myself for a while, was I'm really good at getting listings. Like listing presentations, put me in front of customers and talk and present, that's what I was good at. Ask me to do paperwork and fill it out properly? Oh, no. Not for me. But I would sit there for hours trying, because I had no other choice. I didn't have the time and assistance. That's why I had to get it. If you could fill out my paperwork, put it in the MLS, do my marketing, do my stuff, and I could go out and get 3 more listings, that's better. But I didn't want to give up the control. Finally, I did. Thank God I did. It was the only best thing I ever did, was give up the control of that. Now, let's go over some how-tos, because while we got 7 different streams, if I had to ask you, truthfully, how many powerful streams do you all have individually? Just by a couple show of hands. How many do you have? Want to volunteer?
4.
How many you got about?
About 2 that are very good.
2 that are very good. About 4?
4.
About 2? Fair? 3? It's rare that you find 7 or even 8. And if you do, and that's awesome, I would say then, hey, let's fine-tune them and see if we can get more out of some, because some areas you can expand upon. Like if I was doing the Hampton Township Education Foundation and I'm already at the school, maybe I'd be going to the PTA, which is a different group of people. Or maybe I could find a more expansive thing. Yes?
I have 10 to 15 for my website and video business, but how do I convert it to real estate? They don't think I'm written by both sides of the fence.
So you're in the video business, but you do real estate as well?
Well, I've had my own business for 20 years, the website's video production, audio visual.
Yep.
And now I'm licensed. So.
Aha. So, yeah, so you got to be careful a little bit about people feeling you're double dipping or soliciting that. Let's talk afterwards about that idea, if you don't mind, because that's going to take a little bit more of a conversation to figure that part out. But good question, especially coming out of another business. But good news is you got contacts and people that like you and trust you. Right? Question?
Did you find once you developed a team that you had more, I felt like 15 years of business, I just developed a team just now.
Yeah.
And my whole business exploded.
Yep.
They started sharing what I was getting. And I wasn't not sharing what I was getting prior to be selfish.
Yeah.
I just didn't think I could afford to do it.
Well,
Once I started giving it away, it feels like it was almost like the natural law of like you give, you get kind of thing.
you give, you get, and here's the problem. Here's the other problem. Let's talk about it. When you have to build a team or start a team, or even if it's one person, the fear is, and it was my fear too, well, they're just going to take my stuff and do a better job and go on their own and do it. And they're going to leave me.
Who cares?
And that's what people are like, I'm not going to give you my stuff, but you can't develop people. There will always be someone who thinks they can do better than you. Look, you have to find people on your team that offset you. Yeah. And a good example is this, and I'll tell you an example. So, and it's one of my clients. One of my clients was frustrated because he's got a team of about 4 or 5 people. Male, female, different age groups. And his mentality was, we're going to prospect this area, and here's how we're going to prospect it. Here's what I want you to do. It's my team, and here's how we're going to go do it, whether it's door knock or investors, whatever. And it was failing miserably, because here's what's happening. Hey, did you do it? I'm like, no, I don't want to do it. There are some people that are never going to go door knock. It's not their personality, not their style. I said, you got 2 choices. You could force him to do it, or just fire him, because he ain't going to do it. or just get rid of him now. He ain't going to do it. There's no way. He's telling you every week we go back to him. Did you do it? No, I was too busy. But not going to do it. So the choice. Find something he's good at. What do you like to do? What is the best way I can get you? So you know what? We turned it. He liked investment properties, and he was good at investment properties. He had that. I'm a little bit too good for the other stuff. Okay, good. Create investment seminars. You're going to do investment things. I'm going to get you investment into investment groups on Facebook. He became the investor specialist because he was never going to knock on a door ever. So why terminate somebody that they're not good if they're good at something else? Another one might be good on social. Another one might be good in person. Sometimes you got to find that niche. But the problem was, they were never going to be as good as him or her. The Rainmaker's the Rainmaker. That's what they're good at. When you're building a team, you don't find other Rainmakers. You find other people that offset what you need help with. That's the beauty of it, is based on personality. Okay, so you're hoping that, and if they are as good as you, they'll eventually just do their own team. That's what's going to happen. And that's okay, because you know what? The same mentality for me too. Years ago, people would want my slides. Here's a good example. Jeff, can I have your slides? I'd be like, no. It took me hours to build. You know how much hours of content, research and stuff I do? But you know what? People are going to take pictures of them. People are going to replicate it. People are going to take my same slide deck and go do presentations on their own. But you know what? I don't care. My job is to be ahead of the curve and be better. And if I can help share and help develop somebody else at this point, I'd rather share and you thank me for it than fight you for it. So I'd rather give you the help, because eventually that'll return itself in fold. So now I say, Lisa, you want my slides? You got them, whatever you want. I'll email them to you, send them to you. So I don't fight that anymore, because you can have them anyway. Give first, win the business later, right? So let's talk about some social prospecting real quick. And I want to tune in on listening. And while they took away one of my most favorite tools in Facebook, I'm only going to mention it because I would love to talk about it, but they took it away, so I'm not going to waste too much time, is they took away Facebook lists. My big talk always used to be about creating a Facebook list, which was you could create a list of people, like your past clients and other stuff, and it just focused on them. So you could look at everything they're talking about. It like isolated them in a filter. But that's gone. I'm sure. Not Facebook lists. It's gone. It's gone. You show it to me later when we're done, because they took it away. And if I had it, it's still maybe you have an old version of it, but or maybe they haven't rotated yours out, but they're still rotating it out. But anyway, what happened was they said it wasn't getting used, and I don't believe them. You know what my insight tells me? Here's what was happening. Because I went to my Facebook list to pay attention to my clients, it took me out of the mainstream of their organic stuff where they could put ads in front of me. So it took me away from it, yeah.
I think it's called Facebook groups.
Well, they have groups. That is correct. Yeah, they always had groups. No, I was talking about lists. They have groups, and we're going to talk about that next. Because if you're going to listen, you need to tie into not just groups, because we belong to a lot of groups, but I want to give you very specific groups, because we're missing some stuff at our very local core. Facebook groups, if you go into your Facebook area and you put in search, like your town name, or like Newton, say Newton area, so Newton businesses, or Newton, just type in the word Newton, it'll start populating things up. Excuse me. I found not only local businesses, local groups of people that are town related, in the towns I live in, that are talking all day long. And I'll give you an example. Here's a couple. And these are my towns. So there's one here inside Frieden. I don't know, a couple thousand people. Frieden's a small town, rural. All day long, people, hey, I'm looking for a recommendation. Anybody know a good electrician? Hey, I got a question. Oh, we lost our dog. Anybody see my dog Daisy? Doesn't matter. They're all people that live in this community. So I've helped people go find their dogs. Hey, you need an electrician? If I was in real estate, hey, you know what? For our clients, we have a whole list of preferred vendors for electricians. I'll send you a copy of mine, little logo on top, of course. But I'll share it with you, no problem. People get to know who you are because you're helping, but there's 1,000 people in that group that live in my town that talk to all day long. They're looking for help, advice, stuff, venting. Just participate. Don't jam real estate down their throats. There's another one, Sussex County, something or other. These are all local little groups. There's one that I didn't even put up here. It's called the Sussex County Business Marketing Group or something. 50 companies, 50 little, I don't care if there's 50. How long would it take me to go talk to 50 little companies? Long time. They're all, hey, anybody got any marketing ideas for flyers? Hey, anybody got any marketing ideas to shoot a video? Well, I chime in with help and suggestions, and they get to know who I am. They see my profile. Now I become that local expert in the group, because guess what? I don't have time to talk to them in person yet, But once you see everything, get to know, those little local groups is a way to listen to what they're talking about. And it's all free and it's all sitting there. So while we belong to groups all over the country, Inman stuff is all great, get really, really local. Find local stuff. Okay? We talked about your pages earlier. Your business pages, there was never a right or wrong way, but we're having a hard time getting engagement. And there's a reason. They want us to spend money, and that's okay. They're allowed to make money. Since they're allowed to make money, we have to find a way that if we're going to spend money and run ads, it's one thing. But what else do I do with my page? Right? Here's the reason it's good. It's a public page. It's found on Google. It's easy to use. It's got all the same features of Facebook, but I've got to find a way to make it something more niche, or niche if you want to call it that. So here's some of my thoughts. First of all, most of you that do auto posting, hey, I'm going to pay somebody $50 a month just to do that for me. I don't have time. Why don't you just give me your money at that point? Because if I'm going to post, like, check out this cool fireplace, and you get 1 like or no likes, and then you make another post like, oh, check out this cool backyard. You ever see, you know what I'm talking about, right? These generic 1 like photos. That's the definition of insanity. You're doing the same darn thing over and over, and you're not getting any different results. So why are you doing it? Let's think differently. Let's think niche. What do your customers want? What would there be an interest in? Who has a hobby, for crying out loud? If you and I, does anybody like 1968, 1970 Mustangs, 1965 Mustangs, right? So you and I belly up to the bar later, we have a drink, talk about Mustangs. We could carry on the conversation, swap stories all day long, right? So if I had a cool thing about cars and Mustangs, could I get about another 80 or 100 people to talk about cool Mustangs and stuff like that on a page? All doubt, right? Do they own and live in homes? 99% of them probably live in, own, or rent a home. So you're building a network of people with like things in common. They all like and build stuff. All I want to do is talk to cool people. So what? You monetize it by relationships. How do you get 60 new people that have like and trust of you? I don't have to monetize that. My job is to find more people that live in, own, and rent homes. Right? So if we all showed up at the car swap every Friday night because we had time to do that, and you got to meet each other, and next thing you know, they find out you're in real estate, you think you might get occasionally a lead or two from that? Yeah, of course. That's that right there. That's a version of it. But it's better than the results you're getting on the page. You got people sharing stuff you like. You get other people. You could get 800 people, 1,000 people. They all live in, own, rent homes, and you're talking to them and they like you.
You make that though a local.
Whatever you want. You can make it local, regional. It's your page, your show. Look, the goal is to get people, and it's something good for you to do because you like to do it, so it's not even work. Okay? But hold that thought.
After this, we gotta talk.
All right. Gotcha. So here was one on Tampa real estate investments. Obviously, there's one sample. Focused on investments. That was the name of the page. That isn't like, Jeff Lobb real estate guy, because no one's getting up in the morning going, I got to go to that Jeff guy's Facebook page because he put a new listing on there today. Like, they don't need that. But if there was something they had interest in, they'd pay attention to. Here's 365 Cranford Westfield. Everything happened in 365 days a year, Cranford Westfield. It's a community-driven, her driving that page. Everything happened in that community. Now I'm going to get a little deeper, and I'm going to get a little bit sexier on you on this one. How many of you know that guy, right? So I had the chance, I spoke at his conference last year in Miami. It was at the Miami Hard Rock. But this picture was from 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago at Inman, San Francisco. And I also had the fun, I was sitting next to D-Rock, his video guy. I got my own D-Rocks today. But D-Rock, and he was doing, and he's not from the real estate business, Gary Vee, but he made a statement that has been relevant to something I've been talking about for years. And he said, if you want to own your market in today's world, you need to become the digital mayor of your community. And I knew what that meant right away. I knew exactly what that meant. However, most people won't ever execute on it. What that meant is, how do I become that almost TV rock star with a phone or a camera and have basically, we were talking about earlier, my own little YouTube, Facebook show where everyone gets to know me. That's kind of what a digital mayor is, if you will. Except I found a way that I was doing this stuff before Facebook, so I tied the two together. I would use a Facebook page today to prospect. Easiest prospecting tip in the world, and I would do it if you dropped me in the middle of anywhere USA. It'd be simple. So let me pick a place. Denver, Colorado. I'm in Denver. I know nothing about Denver. I get my license. Now there's a whole bunch of other stuff I would do, but my first thing would be is create a Facebook page. Facebook.com/best of Denver, living in Denver, something that's not taken in Denver like that. right? It's got to be mine. But probably I like best of, right? So here's what I learned. I could go knock on doors one at a time, talk to people, which I didn't like to do, did it for years, and talk to one person at a time. I know that if I could go talk to people that knew a lot more people than I did, I would have a better chance of creating quicker relationships. So I said, the local business community where my group of farm area of townhomes, subdivisions, developments, where they all go shop and do their business, I want to talk to those business owners. And what I did was, hey, my name's Jeff Lobb. This is a pizzeria, it was my first one. And I'm like, hey, I'm Jeff Lobb, I'm with Rainmakers. Hey, we put together a Facebook page. It's the best of Denver, and we're putting together all the best restaurants, all the best places. I love your food. I've been here before. I would love to be able to promote, when you get time after lunch, can we take some pictures and photos? I want to promote your pizzeria to all my real estate clients. We saw a lot of homes, and they're always asking where they should go eat and who should get catering. I would love to promote you. Is that something we could do later?
Absolutely.
Okay, would you mind? It's the best of, it's a fun page, and then you could take it and share it on your page. What'd I just do? Now, first of all, how many people walk into a typical local business owner and offer them value? Because the very first time it did happen, truth, and I'm still friends with this gentleman today, he's like, this sounds great, but how much?
It was pizzeria, wasn't it?
It was pizzeria, first one. Yeah, pizzeria. Still friends with him. Still delivered to my house 20 years later. Right? How much? No, nothing. And my answer is simple. No, this is something I do. I said, I sell a lot of homes in the area. You probably serve a lot of my clients. I just want a great place to recommend them to when they ask me where they should try. And it's going to be you. So if I can promote you, I didn't say put my cards on your counter and I want to be on your cork board thing. I just said, I want to get to know you because you know what? I know that you have 100 people in line every day of my customers, and you know probably every other business owner in this area that I want referrals from you at some point if I earn it. And then I take a picture and I put you up on the page. And I go do it to, and it's not just pizzeria. Think karate studio, dance studio. Where do they bring the kids? I don't care who it is. The people in the community know your customers on a first name basis. The coffee shops, right? So then it evolved. And it evolved to, here's one guy that I'm going to show you the full extreme. Now, it doesn't have to be extreme like this. It could start off with a photo and a post and tag the people and tell them, because I'd want you as the person after I tag you, do me a favor, when you get it, share it to your website as well and friends, because it's a little plug for her, isn't it? It's a promotional piece. Someone's validating her business. So here's Frez Yes. He's a broker in California, in Fresno. A little video going on, but he took it to a whole nother level and created his own show.
I'm back in downtown Fresno, and today I'm trying barbecue. And let's face it, we're Fresno, so this is Tri-Tip. Today, I have the treat of trying the People's Choice of the Tri-Tip Throwdown, just the tip. Let's do this.
He's the broker owner.
I'm Jason Ferris, owner of Fresno Realty, and I've lived in Fresno all my life. Join me as I visit some of the best food spots, 551
It's on his Facebook page. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole show. You could write down Frez Yes, check him out.
Award-winning Tri-Tip is just the tip of the iceberg. Smoked turkey.
His show obviously is a little bit extreme. It becomes a whole thing. That's hiring guys, video guys, the whole thing. But I'll tell you where this started. These were clients of mine right here, Echo Fine Properties in Jupiter. He saw me at Inman speak, and we talked about the digital mayor. And he's like, I want to do this. I'm hiring you. We're going to do this with my agents. So we got one of his agents, and we started off slow. Photos, iPhone stuff, little interviews with the French restaurant, like side by side. Got some traction because the agents were now prospecting when they weren't normally prospecting. They're talking to people, right? Then he started to get some traction. People were like, oh my God, I'm seeing your videos. I love the videos. So we went a little more extreme. They hired a video guy on staff. And now what happens is there's a good scenario. Here's a young agent, maybe, I don't know, 20-something years old at the time, 25, goes and finds a cool business, SNA Mobile Detailing, says, hey, he's a good guy. He talks to a lot of people. Then it just, sometimes you never know who you don't know or who they might know. And he did an interview with him, simple little interview on camera. I'll tell you the story afterwards. I'll show you it real quick. It's a little longer than I wanted, but it's what they did.
Hey everyone out there, this is Brian Smalley with Echo Fine Properties down here in sunny South Florida. I'm here with my good friend Sean Mosley with SNA Mobile Detailing. Sean, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into this business?
I started this business almost 10 years ago. I saw that there was a need for people who really have a desire for having their vehicles professionally auto detailed, their homes pressure cleaned, and they wanted the top-notch customer service. And that's what we love to provide to customers throughout Palm Beach County. We want to bring the best service, the best customer service, and to see the customer
standing up at the
satisfied.
door.
We do a wide range of things. We do automobiles, we do recreational vehicles, we do boats, we do planes, we clean homes, roofs, we do large contracts, big commercial vehicles. We also do tile and grout. We're going to expand to carpet cleaning soon. Back when I first started, I was young. I didn't really know too much about it. I did do a lot of studying of the understanding of what detailing really meant. And then I came across someone, as you all may know, his name is 50 Cent. And I did about 3 of his vehicles down at his office down in Boca. They have a company called SMS Headphones. And he has some very nice exotic type of vehicles that I did so he can have them ready for a photo shoot. But I did tell the Ferrari 458 California edition. I did a Lamborghini Aventador, which is very nice. And I take pride.
All right, so for that purpose, the guy knew a few people, didn't he? Unbeknownst to him, there's a network behind the network. So he just went in to do this cool little one-on-one thing. So this guy would happen by accident. I can't even take credit for it, and I won't. He made this post, and he told this gentleman, because you got to tell him, hey, listen, do me a favor, I'm going to make this post, share it to your page. And he not only shared it, this gentleman took it and shared it and tagged all of his friends on his personal page. And within less than 24 hours, 123 shares and almost 3,000 views in the first 15 hours. And turns out he was tagging, because he was so proud of this. Like, no one ever did this for this guy. So I went and I saw Brian Smalley a while afterwards, and I said, hey, whatever happened to your guy? He's like, he got so freaking busy. He's using this as a commercial. He had to hire another guy, got another machine. He expanded his business because of it. Now, I'm not saying that this is a magic bullet but there's definitely a good relationship, and it started off with like, hey, I just want to help talk about why you do what you do. And there's so many other people like that we could prospect with. I tell people all the time, because here's the mistake you're going to make, or people do make. They'll go, oh, I created a community page, but you know, I'm getting okay. It's not about getting all the results. It's using it as a tool to prospect. But what people will do is, yeah, I posted about this new restaurant, and I posted about this cool, you know, kids activity center. It's not about posting about stuff. It's the people in the post. You got to talk to the people. It's the introduction. Hi, my name is Jeff. I want to post about you. I think you're a great company. I think you do great at Karate Studio. You got a lot of kids. I want to promote you to my families that I sell real estate to. Are you okay with that? That's the connection. It's a prospecting tool, not necessarily a social media machine, right? It's an easy prospecting tool. So it's never about the post, or it's never about the post, it's about the people in it. All right, so we go back to this and we look at, okay, what's another farming idea? I got to hit this. And I started touching on some of this stuff. Question, real quick on that? Yeah. So it's a good idea. If you had a quick online, if for me, if I was doing that interview with him, I would get something signed real quick. If I was going to do a video, one little pager, give permission, they're online. Probably as a safety net. Sure, good question. So I come back to this again. Here's my farm area again. Here's how I would tackle this today. Now, I'm not saying it's the perfect scenario, but I would look at, I started giving you tips on this earlier in our Q&A session. So Cole Realty Resources has been around a while. They've gotten better. They started off as a book, but now they've evolved. And I'm not saying they're perfect, right? Using them now or have them? Used to use the book, right? And look, I never thought it was perfect either, quite frankly. Nothing's perfect. So, but what I did find, and I met with them recently, is that, you know, data is getting better. So I said, okay, if I go back and I say, I got all these people, and I buy like I bought the whole state of New Jersey, like you buy the search for the whole state of New Jersey, right? So I buy the search, and you could search any town, community, zip code, radius of farming area, and it will come back and give you like the list of, you know, their address, the people that own it, the people that are living in it, phone numbers, some email addresses, some cell phone numbers. And I had some people go, you know, there's always that person, well, it only had like 50% of them. Okay, if I go back there, I don't have 50% of them now. I don't have their email addresses or their phone numbers or their house numbers. So I don't care if I got 20%. It gives me somebody to talk to here that I can't now, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect. So I buy this list. It wasn't cheap. I get some discount pricing that I paid, that gave me, that I can give to you. But I bought it. So I start searching stuff. So I end up getting the list. Actually, that's it there now. I get the list and I export it. And you can export like as much as you want. Like you can export your towns, your neighbors' towns, your team's towns. And I take the list and I put it into it. So what I do is this. Here's what I've got. Names, some phone numbers, some cell phone numbers, and some email addresses. Good, because I didn't have that yesterday. It's a good start. What do I do with them? So we were talking about, obviously you could put them into email campaigns. That's easy. You could upload them into Facebook and do a custom ad. To me, and if you want to write this down, I think it comes out to less than $100 a month with that discount. That's like a personal discount. So he said I could share it. $500 off if you sign it. I think it's maybe $80 a month with that, but I would share it if I were you. Here's what I would do. How many of you have heard of Slide Dial? You probably used it for years, right? Slide Dial. If you haven't, you will, right? Slide Dial. It bypasses the ring and goes right to their voicemail. Slide Broadcast does something similar. Slide Broadcast, I could take all of those phone numbers, upload them into the system, create that one voicemail, the one real voicemail. Hey, it's Jeff Lobb. I've got 3 buyers that are anxious to get into your neighborhood specifically. They're qualified, pre-approved. If you know anybody that's looking to sell, please let me know as soon as possible. Slide Broadcast will send that out in about 10 minutes. It's like less than $20 probably for 500. And you start getting the message out there. Is it all going to make the phone ring? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It depends on your voicemail. But this to me gets it out to a lot of people real quick. So yesterday I had nobody to talk to. Here I got 500 voicemails that went out, and that's a good start, right? The broadcasting, it's got its own dashboard. You get your own phone number, all that good stuff. Then I say, okay, now what? Well, I've got all their phone numbers. So Jupes, I don't even like this name because it's hard to spell. Jupes with a Z. Jupes is a text messaging platform. Also gives you a number, and I can take all those same phone numbers and put them in cell phone wise and do a text broadcast and manage who's getting my text and who's not. Same message. I'm looking for someone that's looking to buy or sell. I've got homeowners waiting to go, blah, blah, blah. And I took that same data and recirculated it. Now I have those email addresses. What can I do with them? Besides putting them into Facebook, which I could do, and I could run targeted ads just at my community. Because I know they just live there. So if I want to farm, think about it. I'm not saying stop sending your postcards. But if I could farm, so if I get this email list, and there's probably more emails than phone numbers, from my farm area, and they start seeing, hey, Jeff Lobb, this real estate guy, popping up on all their stuff in Facebook and the ads, they're going to start seeing me a lot more than being on a TV at the diner, right? Because I'm targeting just them. Another thing I could do, which I talked about this morning I would do, is if I had an AdWorks campaign, I would take that same list of emails in my farm, upload them into my AdWorks Sphere platform, and they would start seeing me now on CNN and the Weather Channel and every place else. What's the perception of that when it comes time to, hey, we're getting ready to sell? That is not going to still be lead generation, but they're going to know who you are. As a matter of fact, if you run into them, you're going to start to hear like, hey, I've been seeing you all over the place. I'm going to see you all over the place. Yes, you are. Because that's what I heard. This same thing 10, 15, 20 years ago was the billboard, the wrapped car, and maybe the fax machine sending fax broadcast. Same relation. I drove my car, I had 6 signs per listing out, and I had billboards. And I heard, hey, I see you all over the place. It's now a heck of a lot cheaper and a heck of a lot faster by leveraging technology. So it starts here with getting a list, and while it's not perfect, it might be more than you have. Get the list, emails, phone numbers, and cell phones. And what's cool is Slide Broadcast, which I learned, goes out to both landlines and cell phones. It used to only be one or the other. So it goes out to both. So that being said, you got a shot at something. Your message has to be authentic. It's got to be natural. Like I'm looking for help. I'm looking for someone that might be selling. I've got a couple great families that are pre-qualified with loans, ready to go. I can't find them a home. Can you help me? Have you thought about somebody, right? So that's the kind of stuff. This is how you leverage technology. Because none of this technology matters unless you can humanize it and make it more productive, right? People buy it, sign up, never do anything with it, just wasting money. However, to me, if this was done consistently, you use what works. If it doesn't work, change it up, right? So those are the 3 types of strategies there. I offered, you guys gave me this stuff already, but if you want my slide decks, you want information on training stuff, or any of the slides, most of you have been giving me cards throughout the day, but since we're kind of shutting down back out there, if you want my slide deck, anything I shared with you today, just give me a card so we can email to you. What you'll get is an email, a PDF file, and instructions on how to get some of the free stuff I gave out this morning. But on that note, did I give you all a few good ideas?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm going to stick around to answer questions for everybody, but for time purposes here, I want to thank these guys for putting on a fabulous show. Yeah. It's always a great show. Guys, you guys all show up and stand in the room for me. Reach out if I can help. Thank you all. I appreciate you all. Thank you.